We all know amazing shows always have more than enough rumors and theories. People, including those who work in the production team, still have an idea about what might happen next in the movie. Well, Descendants is no exception. Here are some of the most exciting rumors and theories about Descendants 4 as compiled by Riveted. Will there be a Descendants 4? This is the most apparent theory or rumor you will ever come across. After the much-awaited Descendants 3, fans started guessing what could be next the moment the credits started filling the screen. The famous line,
"You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?"
was missing. That could have been the easiest way to get hints that the fourth sequel was in the works. We're now in the fourth year since the premiere of the original Descendants movie, which instantly became a favorite among Disney Channel fans. Some of the famous films by Disney Channel, including Teen Beach Movie, earned a sequel. However, Descendants is the first Disney Channel movie to have two sequels since High School Musical. The last scene of Descendants 3 shows Mal, Evie, Carlos, and Jay racing towards the Isle of the Lost. That is the part that missed the line that was repeated in the two previous movies by Mal and Uma. The ending scene and the passing of Cameron Boyce, who also played the lead role in the film series, leads fans to believe that Descendants 3 will be the last chapter in the villain kid's story. But wait, we lost Carlos in Cameron Boyce's death, yes, but now that we might be having a new queen in Mal, there may be other villain kids that will be taking over as the core four. The kids, the Dizzy, daughter of Drizella and granddaughter of Lady Tremaine, Celia, daughter of Facilier, and Squeaky and Squirmy, the twin sons of Mr. Smee, might be the new VKs to take over. We are not sure if they will take up the role, but we know that they were introduced for a very good reason. The introduction of the new villain kids has a whole story that can stand on its own. It can also be the central conflict in the Descendants 4. They might even revolt and start attacking from within. Well, let us wait and see. Unsettled Scores. There are so many conflicts that have not been resolved. For instance, the mother-daughter war between Maleficent and her daughter Mal. Undoubtedly the most powerful villain's end could be any other way but not be turned into a lizard forever. She has enough powers, as shown in her character before, to figure out something and get herself back to normalcy. We also want to know what will happen between her and her daughter Mal. Will she forgive her, or maybe she would just be killed by turning against the agreement already set? There must be something in store that explains all of this. Carlos De Vil. What will become of the character Carlos? It is no doubt that the death of Cameron Boyce hurt fans, and they're eager to see how the role will be handled now that its original actor has passed. We don't doubt that the team that sat to come up with the Descendants had something already planned, and so this might be another turning point to the story that fans would love in equal measure. We're sure some people must be asking themselves how the original core four members will react to Carlos's character depending on how the writer will decide to pen it. It's quite a destructive action, but very challenging because they'll be trying to come up with something that is not normal to most people. The wedding. One thing that we are sure will happen in Descendants 4, if it will be produced, is Mal's wedding. At the end of the Descendants 3, everybody was happy, and Ben and Mal's wedding is the most logical event to take place next. But who will attend this wedding? Who will find their names missing in the invitations list? We know for sure that Hades and Maleficent hate Auradon. First of all, Maleficent and Hades have unfinished business, which we'll talk about later on, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere for that. Now, because Mal is getting married, her parents will therefore have to attend. And Mal has the option to allow or not allow her mom to participate in the wedding. This will totally depend on Mal's relationship with her mom after they meet. Anyway, they are bound to meet, and that might happen before the wedding. What comes out of that meeting will decide a lot of things. By the end of Descendants 3, Hades was already on Mal's good side, so he'll definitely be getting an invitation to the royal wedding. Hades and Maleficent. Hades and Maleficent have never met since the return of Hades. In her conversation with Mal, Hades described Maleficent as the one person in their relationship that ruined everything. To some extent, he even had no words, and that shows where he places Maleficent. Their reunion will be full of fireworks, as there is a possibility of war before a truce. Both Hades and Maleficent are extraordinarily egocentric, and that's why they couldn't stay together. Now that Hades is back, Maleficent may get out of her lizard cage and seek revenge on her daughter, who is also the daughter to Hades. Hades might want to protect his daughter, which is a normal thing, and that is where hell will break loose. Wait, don't you think a duet of Hades and Maleficent would be a fantastic experience for the show? Well, maybe that is where the show might start or end. When it comes to music, both parties have proven that they are forces to reckon with. Who knows? Mal may also get a verse in the song. The barrier. The one thing that separated the villain kids and people from Auradon was the barrier. Although the two opposing sides came to an understanding thanks to Mal and her company, we must appreciate that there was peace in Auradon before they came knocking. Now that it is permanently open, there is only one thing that fans would wish to see, and that would be how the villain kids change Auradon prep. It is no doubt that change takes time. This simply means that the villain kids would take the time to settle in Auradon. There are a lot of things that will surprise them. There are the things that the VKs are not used to, a couple of mistakes here and there that could result in some measures being taken, and of course, there will be a lot more singing now that the groups have been merged. Mal. In Descendants 3, we saw the power of this soon-to-be queen. She was able to make her dad save Audrey from the darkness and was also very instrumental in bringing peace between Auradon and the Isle of the Lost. She was also able to convince Ben and people from Auradon to let 4 of the villain kids, including Dizzy, visit Auradon before eventually breaking down the barrier. All these she did when she was still Mal and not Ben's fiancée or a queen, so to speak. Now that the wedding is almost here, we would like to know what type of queen she will become. Will she use her new gained status and power to make her presence known and seek revenge on how they were treated? We all know that Mal still has the villain blood in her veins. That is who she is at the end of the day. So what if she had to deal with her mom, Maleficent, and turning her into a reptile was just one of the antics she pulled in order to convince or fool the rest of the Auradon people, including Ben? Well, we don't know for sure what will happen, but from the look of things, we think Mal has something in store for us. The young ones. Another popular theory, or, well, rumor, is what would become of the next generation of villain kids. Of course, Mal and Ben, they'll have kids together. Evie, Carlos, and Jay, too, will probably do the same. Now, the question is, what will they look like? Many say Mal's kids will resemble her in many ways, although the kid will have some of their dad's features. Mal's purple hair will obviously stand out. Now, what we're not sure of is which character they will exhibit more. Will it be the villain side, or as they say, the right side, the Auradon side? The villain kids' parents will also have an interest in these kids. This will somehow create a conflict between the two groups again. There's also the part where the core 4 kids will have to mingle with the rest of the Auradon prep students. Well, most fans believe it will be a smooth transition, but we don't know what the Disney fellows might be thinking. It might be something totally different, or maybe what we expect, but with a significant twist. Ben, Mal, and the villains. We all know Cruella De Vil and Maleficent are not lovely people. Together with Captain Hook and Ursula, we do not think they will be able to welcome the idea of joining hands together with the guys from Auradon. After all, that is what the villains are made of: chaos and disruptions. Peace is a foreign idea to them. They will definitely seek their revenge, and that brings us to Mal and Ben. How will they deal with this imminent disruption of peace that they have worked so hard to make into a reality? One of the easiest and simple measures that can be taken to at least solve one of the villains' chaos is permanently cage Maleficent in her reptile body and never let her out. But we know Disney with their happily ever after endings. Mal might decide to bring her mom back to her normal form and maybe have some lesser powers than she had before. They might be sentenced or forgiven if they promise to act right and stick by it. We see Mal making most of these decisions because Ben knows nothing about the villain's life except behaving like them, as we saw it when he visited Isle of the Lost. Carlos and Cruella De Vil. We all know the rocky relationship between Carlos and his mother. We all hate Cruella De Vil because of the obvious reasons: how she treated Carlos. She made him fear dogs and used him as her slave, which is not the appropriate thing to do to your own kid. This made Carlos think that maybe going to Auradon would be a good thing after all. Of course, Cruella was disappointed, and her reunion with her kid would be another conflict on its own. Yeah, we know Cameron is no more, and the news that Carlos is gone and will never be seen again will be a devastating one to Cruella. She will think that it is a result of going to Auradon if the Disney guys decide to take the angle of death, and that will make Cruella unleash all her powers and anger on Auradon. Well, she might be joined by the other villains because they all have the same interests, but we will have to wait and see. The Queen of Mean. There is nothing Audrey wanted in this world more than the throne, to become the Queen of Auradon, and she is likely not going to be the queen after the introduction of Mal in Auradon. We all saw how she was mad and even decided to unleash her evil side. We still believe she is not done and might decide to team up with the mother of her enemy Mal in order to drive Mal away, or even finish her completely. The Queen of Mean might have apologized, but hey, we know how these people work. They deceive you first into believing they are changed, and then attack you the moment you decide to be free around them with no protection whatsoever. Some argue that her apology was genuine, and it did look convincing. To some extent, yeah, it was, but also that might be part of the whole act. When one is drunk with power or wants it so badly, sometimes they become a little overexcited and mad and therefore cause a lot of damage in their quest for power. We saw it in Audrey and most of the villains. Whatever path she takes, we just hope she does not ruin it all. We'd rather see a different person from the villain side bring the conflict, but not Audrey, although we know she was really hurt by Ben. Well, that is it for today. Do you have any theory or any idea about what will happen if Descendants 4 is produced? Are you ready for the new villain kid's life in Auradon or the original Core 4 adventurers? Please let us know in the comments section below, and do not forget to subscribe because we upload new exciting videos daily. This has been Riveted.